Do you remember the blocky, rugged Chevy Blazer from back in the day? I do. My parents had one. This is not that kind of Blazer.
As you may have noticed, this thing looks nothing like the old Blazer. And that's because it is nothing like the old Blazer. We'll deal with the existential name crisis later, but first, let's get our heads around what this thing is. Built on the same platform as the Cadillac XT5 and GMC Acadia, the Chevrolet Blazer is a mid-sized two-row SUV with room for 5 passengers. Remove your expectations of what a Blazer is supposed to look like, and the latest version looks sweet. At least to me it does. The whole blacked-out pillar aesthetic is a bit played out, but the Blazer wears them well. And bonus points for the striking body line that bisects the doors and sweeps upward to the taillights. In total, it's a very tasty package. The Premier trim classes things up with chrome accents and 20-inch wheels, but spirited souls might prefer a more aggressive breed of Blazer.
Driving the RS, which is the sporty Blazer, you'll notice that the ride is firmer thanks to firmer dampers. That's really the only suspension change. But along with that sporty ride, you have flatter steering when you weave back and forth dangerously on a straight road. Boy, that's fun. I mean, not for everybody else, but for me, it's great. Oh good, the roads have supplied me with a long sweeping right-hander in which to fling the RS. Let's see what happens. Slightly quicker steering ratio, gives a sort of agile sense. It's actually kind of fun. Yeah, okay, I'm Blazer RSing and loving it.
The RS might be the most fun way to blaze, but the standard rendition is no slouch.
Even in standard guise, the Chevy Blazer steers enthusiastically, with well-calibrated resistance from the wheel and minimal body roll in corners.
For normal drivers, the Blazer's road manners feel eager without undue harshness. Providing thrust are one of 2 engines, each paired with a competent 9-speed automatic transmission. Standard on the RS and Premier trims is a V6.
In this case, a spunky 3.6 liter that delivers brisk, if not neck-snapping acceleration and the ability to tow up to 4,500 pounds. But not when driving like a jerk. And I always drive like a jerk.
Thanks in part to cylinder deactivation technology, the V6 returns competitive fuel efficiency while combusting regular unleaded gasoline, which should save you a few dimes at the pump. Further aiding fuel economy is an automatic engine start-stop system that cannot be deactivated.
The lack of an off button should enrage me, but restarts are smooth and speedy enough. I'm going to save my rage for something else, like when valets call me Chief.
The other engine is a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder featured on lower trims. Acceleration is merely adequate off the line, but once moving, the 9-speed does its best to extract maximum value from the power that's available. If fuel economy and purchase price outrank thrust on your priority list, the 4-cylinder is just fine.
One odd observation though, the 4-cylinder is not turbocharged, but in some ways it feels like it is. At slow speeds, there's a delayed surge in power when you add light throttle, making it even harder to look smooth in the elementary school pickup line. Hey.
If you need more than front-wheel drive traction, 2 different all-wheel drive systems are offered, but only if you buy the V6. There's a basic system utilizing a single clutch to transfer torque to the rear wheels, while the Blazer RS and Premium offer GM's twin-clutch all-wheel drive.
With a pair of clutches directing power to the left and the right, the twin-clutch all-wheel drive system can prioritize power to the outside wheel, increasing agility when driving dangerously fast on narrow mountain roads in a big SUV that shouldn't be driven dangerously fast.
Both all-wheel drive systems include a mode that essentially disconnects the driveline to the rear wheels for added efficiency. Beyond that, the drive mode selector offers sport, tow, and off-road modes that alter a range of vehicle behaviors to better match driving conditions. So far, the Blazer's feeling good, but how's the interior?
What I can tell you is that in the back seat there are standard rear vents, which is nice for keeping cool or warm. The side glass is kind of narrow, but the view out's really not that bad. And there's plenty of space for me, the quintessential average American male. I'm 5'10", and yes, that's average. For maximizing passenger comfort, the seats slide and recline. And here's something I like. The mechanism for the recline is right here where you need it, instead of over your shoulder, as in some SUVs. Not here, it's here. That's some good camera work.
Up front, the design is anchored by a clean, uncluttered dash. From the driver's seat, all the controls are easy to reach and unobscured by the steering wheel, like in some cars.
Though if you're taller, this little ledge right here might partially block the climate control buttons. Speaking of, I wish they operated with a little crisper action. Kind of mushy.
Yeah, the buttons work, but they're not satisfying to press. An observation that lets you know we're nitpicking.
While we're at it, the armrest could be a little bit more padded, but I think we're all tired of hearing about my sensitive elbows. Ow! My elbow!
Overall, the positives handily outshine the negatives. Primary touch points are nearly all soft, the center vents are Camaro-inspired, rotating to adjust temperature, and the cabin is filled with storage spots like a passenger side map slot, seat back pockets, a backseat coin slot, door nooks, and a generously sized glove box with an electronic release for some reason. For sizable cargo hauling, the Blazer offers 30.5 cubic feet behind the rear seats. Compared to the Ford Edge, the Blazer's hold is quite a bit smaller, but filling that void is easy thanks to a manageable liftover height, convenient seat releases in the cargo area, seats that create a flat load floor when dropped, and an available cargo divider. From an infotainment perspective, the Blazer is a strong player. All versions include this vivid 8-inch screen featuring super clear icons, standard Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and a logical interface with a status bar along the bottom to quickly access primary functions.
It's a simple, snappy system with some genuinely clever touches. For example, when toggling into or out of Apple CarPlay, you just use the home button. Out, in. Also, if you spring for the embedded navigation system, not only do you get a really intuitive interface that rivals smartphones, but you also get multiple user profiles that sync not only with the fob, but also with the cloud, so your preferences carry over to any other GM vehicles you might happen to own.
Buy a Blazer L trim, and including destination, it'll cost barely less than $30,000. For that amount, you'll get 18-inch wheels, LED running lights, dual-zone automatic climate control, and keyless access with push-button start, a feature on which I've grown quite dependent. Higher trims add luxuries like heated and ventilated seats, a panoramic moonroof, a hands-free power liftgate, blind spot warning, up to 6 USB ports, and a fancy 360-degree camera system with like a zillion angles. Advanced driver assist technologies like adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, and automatic emergency braking are also optional, though I should mention that all those features come standard on the Honda Passport. Filling out the two-row midsize SUV field are the Nissan Murano, Ford Edge, and Jeep Grand Cherokee. Each has their strengths, but none match the audacious style of the Blazer. If, on the other hand, you want a hardy body-on-frame SUV to go tearing through the underbrush, either find a used Blazer on KBB.com, plug, or a Toyota 4Runner, aka the last of the old-school midsize SUVs. You know, names are tricky. They carry the weight of expectations with them.
In this case, the Blazer name recalls the past, but the vehicle that it's attached to is ideally suited for the present. The latest Chevrolet Blazer is a smartly packaged, stylish, midsize SUV that drives great. Whatever the badge says, I call that a recipe for success.